Welcome to the AEN Stories channel.
Sophia's life with Mark was a carefully curated portrait of love and stability, the kind that sparkled in the eyes of friends who envied their easy affection and strangers who smiled at their shared laughter in coffee shops. Their apartment in the heart of the city was a cozy haven, its walls lined with mismatched furniture. They'd scoured flea markets to find each chair, table, and lamp a memory of their early years together. When life was a canvas of possibility, they'd spent weekends hiking in the mountains, their boots crunching on pine needles, their hands clasped as they navigated rocky trails, dreaming aloud of a future they'd build brick by brick. They'd stayed up late over bottles of cheap wine, the kind that stained their lips and made them laugh too loudly, planning a life filled with adventure and love. Mark was a good man, the kind who remembered her favorite coffee order black to sugars, who left sticky notes on the fridge with messages like "You're my everything" or "Can't wait to see you smile." He worked overtime at his construction management job, his hands rough from handling blueprints and tools, his eyes tired, but bright with purpose, all to save for their dream vacation to the Amalfi Coast, a trip he planned with meticulous care, poring over travel blogs and brochures, imagining Sophia's laughter against the backdrop of turquoise waters and sun-drenched cliffs, her dark hair catching the Mediterranean breeze. He was steady, loyal, the kind of husband who made Sophia feel safe, even when she didn't want to admit she needed it. But Sophia, with her restless heart and a hunger for something more, felt a void that Mark's quiet devotion couldn't fill. She loved him, she did, but love wasn't enough to quiet the itch for excitement, for a spark that set her world ablaze, for a moment of feeling alive in a way that routine couldn't provide. Sophia's restlessness wasn't new. It had always been there, a quiet hum beneath the surface of her life, even before Mark. As a child, she'd been the girl who climbed trees higher than her brothers, who snuck out to watch the stars when her parents thought she was asleep, who dreamed of being an artist, her sketchbooks filled with wild, colorful visions of a world bigger than the small town she grew up in. In college, she'd painted murals on dorm walls, danced at parties until dawn, and fell in love with the thrill of being seen, of being wanted. But life had a way of taming her wildness. College gave way to a graphic design job, her paints traded for a computer screen, her dreams tucked away in a box labeled someday. Mark had been her anchor, grounding her when she felt adrift, but that grounding came at a cost. The safety of their life together, the cozy apartment, the predictable routines, the quiet evenings on the couch felt like a cage to her restless spirit, its bars invisible but unyielding, pressing against her chest with every measured breath. It started with Emily, Mark's childhood friend, introduced on a crisp autumn evening with a grin and a proud arm around Sophia's waist. "Emily's like a sister to me," Mark had said, his voice warm with nostalgia, his hazel eyes bright with the joy of sharing his past with his future. "We grew up together, got into all sorts of trouble stealing apples from Mr. Larson's orchard, sneaking out to watch the stars on summer nights, racing bikes down the hill until we crashed, laughing even as we bandaged our scraped knees." You'll love her. Sophia did love her, almost instantly. Emily was vibrant, with a quick laugh that filled the room, and a knack for telling stories that made the world fade away, her auburn hair catching the light in a way that felt almost magical, her green eyes sparkling with mischief. Their friendship bloomed over coffee dates in quirky cafes, the kind with mismatched mugs and chalkboard menus, the air thick with the scent of roasted beans and cinnamon. They texted late into the night, their messages a mix of silly memes and heartfelt confessions, laughing about nothing and everything: movies they loved, clothes they couldn't afford, the quirks of living with Mark, like his habit of leaving socks on the living room floor or humming off-key in the shower. Emily was easy to talk to, her energy infectious, her smile disarming, and Sophia found herself drawn to her in a way she hadn't expected, a pull that felt both thrilling and dangerous, like standing too close to a flame. The friendship shifted, slowly at first, then all at once, like a tide pulling her under before she realized she was in too deep. While Mark worked late, hammering out project plans and crunching numbers to give them a better life, Sophia and Emily's texts grew longer, more intimate, their laughter tinged with something deeper, something that made Sophia's heart race and her cheeks flush. They shared secrets, dreams, frustrations, things Sophia used to tell Mark, but now kept locked away, hidden in the quiet moments when he was too tired to listen, his eyes glazed from hours of work, his mind still at the construction site. Emily's attention was a drug, her texts lighting up Sophia's phone at midnight, her voice softening when they spoke, her laughter a melody that made Sophia feel alive in a way Mark's steady love couldn't. It wasn't love, not exactly, but it was excitement, a thrill that made Sophia feel like a version of herself she'd forgotten, a woman who laughed too loudly, who danced in the rain, who lived for the moment instead of the plan, who felt desired in a way that made her heart skip and her skin tingle. 4 months, Sophia lied, sneaking around with Emily, while Mark believed she was shopping or meeting friends from work. She'd say she was at the mall, browsing racks of clothes she had no intention of buying. When she was at Emily's apartment, their laughter spilling through open windows as they shared bottles of cheap Merlot, their knees brushing as they sat on the couch, the air between them charged with possibility. The lies came easily, too easily, each one a small betrayal that piled up like stones, weighing heavier with every text, every stolen moment, every glance that lingered too long. Sophia told herself it was harmless, just a friendship, just a way to feel alive again, to reclaim the spark she'd lost in the monotony of marriage. But deep down, she knew it was more. She knew it in the way her heart raced when Emily's name appeared on her phone, in the way she spent extra time getting ready for their meetups, choosing outfits that made her feel bold, flowy skirts, fitted tops, earrings that caught the light, in the way she avoided Mark's eyes when he asked about her day, his trust, a weight she carried like a secret, a stone in her chest that grew heavier with every lie. The lies had a way of surfacing, as lies always do, their truth bubbling up like oil through water, dark and undeniable. One evening, Mark came home early, his arms full of groceries for a surprise dinner. His smile wide as he called out, "Soph, I'm home." Had left work early, eager to spend time with her, to cook the pasta dish she loved, penne with homemade marinara, the recipe his mother had taught him, hoping to see her smile for a long week. He found them in the living room, Sophia and Emily, sitting too close on the couch, their laughter fading as his footsteps echoed in the hall, the air shifting with the weight of what he saw. Sophia's heart stopped, her breath catching as she met his gaze, expecting anger, tears, a fight that would tear their world apart. But Mark didn't scream or beg. He stood there, his face pale, his hazel eyes filled with a quiet devastation that cut deeper than any outburst, his hands still clutching the grocery bags, tomatoes and basil spilling onto the hardwood floor like blood from a wound. "I trusted you both," he said, his voice low, steady, the words landing like a blade, sharp and precise, slicing through the illusion Sophia had built. Then he turned and walked out, the door closing softly behind him, the sound louder than any slam, echoing in Sophia's mind like a gunshot that reverberated through her bones. Mark didn't come back that night, or the next. He cut them both off completely, his silence a wall Sophia couldn't breach, a fortress built from the ruins of his trust, its stones mortared with the pain she'd caused. The vacation had been saving for, the one he'd planned with such care, dreaming of Sophia's smile against the backdrop of the Amalfi Coast, of sunlit cliffs and turquoise waves. He took it alone, his social media filled with photos of sunsets and seascapes, their colors vivid but cold, his face absent from every frame, his absence a quiet rebuke that stung more than words. The home he'd built with Sophia, the apartment filled with their memories, the couch where they'd watched old movies, curled up under a blanket, the kitchen where they'd danced to jazz records, their feet shuffling on the tiled floor, was sold, the paperwork handled with a cold efficiency that left Sophia reeling, left with nothing but a suitcase and a rented apartment in a part of town where the streetlights flickered and the walls were thin, the paint peeling in long, jagged strips like scars. Emily grew distant too, her texts slowing, her laughter fading, as if Shed realized she was never meant for Sophia long-term, that their connection was a spark, not a flame, a moment of excitement that couldn't sustain itself. Sophia tried to reach out, sending messages that went unanswered, her calls met with polite excuses, until they stopped altogether. Emily's silence a mirror of Mark's, a reminder of the bridges Sophia had burned with her own hands. Sophia ended up alone in her small rented apartment, the walls bare, the air heavy with the hum of a city that didn't care, its pulse a constant reminder of her isolation. She replayed Mark's last words every night. "I trusted you both," the weight of them a constant echo in her mind, a refrain that played on repeat as she lay awake, staring at the cracked ceiling, its fissures like a map of her mistakes. The apartment was a far cry from the cozy haven Shed shared with Mark. No mismatched furniture, no framed photos of their hikes, just a bed with a lumpy mattress, a wobbly table, and a single lamp that cast long shadows across the room, their edges sharp and unforgiving, like the truth she couldn't escape. Shed lay there, her thoughts a tangle of regret and longing, wondering how Shed let it come to this, how Shed traded love for excitement, trust for a thrill that had burned out as quickly as it ignited, leaving her colder than before, her heart a hollow space where warmth used to live. The days stretched into weeks, each one a lesson in solitude, a canvas painted with the colors of her choices, grays of regret, reds of anger, blues of longing. Sophia took a job at a bookstore, a quiet place tucked away on a side street, its shelves lined with novels that offered temporary escape from her own story. She shelved books, rang up customers, and lost herself in the pages of stories about love and loss, their words a mirror to her own heart, their characters a reminder that she wasn't the only one who'd faltered, who'd chased the wrong thing. She started writing again, something she hadn't done since college, when her notebooks were filled with poems about freedom and love, before life had taught her to be practical. Her new notebook was different, its pages raw and unfiltered, a space to make sense of the chaos Shed created. She wrote about Mark, about the man Shed loved and hurt, about the way his trust had been a gift she hadn't known how to hold, about the way his absence left a hole she couldn't fill, a void that echoed with the sound of his voice, his laughter, his love. She wrote about Emily, about the spark that had felt like freedom, but left her with nothing but ashes, about the way their laughter had once filled her with light, but now felt like a weight, a chain Shed forged herself. Most of all, she wrote about herself, about the woman Shed been wild, reckless, full of dreams, and the woman she wanted to be, someone who could face her mistakes, who could learn from them, who could grow. Sophia's life became a study in rebuilding, not the life Shed had with Mark, but a new one she could call her own, one built on honesty rather than lies. She started therapy, a weekly ritual in a small office with a soft-spoken therapist named Clara, whose questions cut through the fog of Sophia's guilt and longing like a lighthouse in a storm. Clara helped her see that the thrill Shed chased wasn't about Emily or even Mark, it was about her, about the parts of herself Shed buried, the dreams Shed let go, the woman Shed stopped being when Shed settled into the role of Mark's wife. Shed wanted excitement, but what Shed really needed was herself, the version of Sophia who painted in college, who danced without caring who was watching, who dreamed of a life bigger than the one Shed settled for, a life filled with color and possibility. Therapy wasn't a cure, but it was a map, guiding her through the wreckage of her choices, helping her find a path forward, one step at a time, one truth at a time. She started painting again, setting up a small easel in the corner of her apartment, her canvases filled with bold colors and raw emotion swirls of red and gold, blues that bled into black, each stroke a reclamation of the artist Shed been, a declaration of the woman she was becoming. She took a pottery class on weekends, her hands shaping clay into imperfect bowls and vases, their flaws a reminder that beauty could come from mistakes, that broken things could be made whole again, even if the cracks remained. She volunteered at a community center, teaching art to kids, their laughter a balm to her wounds, their unfiltered joy a reminder of the light Shed forgotten how to find. She made new friends, not to fill the void left by Emily, but to build something real, something honest, people who saw her for who she was, not who she'd been or who she'd pretended to be. There was Sarah, a barista with a love for poetry, who invited Sophia to open mic nights, her voice trembling but growing stronger with each reading. Jamal, a fellow volunteer who shared her passion for jazz and lent her records from his collection, their conversations stretching late into the night. Leela, a neighbor who brought her homemade cookies and stayed to talk about life, love, and everything in between. Her warmth a reminder that connection didn't have to come with strings. Mark never came back, and Sophia didn't expect him to. She heard through mutual friends that he'd moved to a new city, started a new job, a new life free of the weight of her betrayal. He was dating again, they said, his smile brighter than it had been in months, his heart healing in a way Sophia envied, but didn't resent. She couldn't shed hurt him, broken the trust he'd given so freely, and he deserved to move on, to find happiness without the shadow of her choices. Emily, too, faded from her life, their friendship a casualty of the lines they'd crossed, the boundaries they'd ignored. Sophia saw her once, months later, as a calf across town, her auburn hair still catching the light, her laugh carrying across the room. But Sophia didn't approach her. She turned away, her heart heavy, but her resolve firm, knowing that some chapters were better left unread, some doors better left closed. The nights were the hardest, when the silence of her apartment felt like a mirror, reflecting the choices she'd made, the life she'd lost. She'd sit by the window, watching the city's lights flicker like stars, her notebook open on her lap, her pen moving across the page in quick, fluid strokes. She wrote about regret, but also about hope, about the possibility of forgiveness, not from Mark, but from herself, a forgiveness that felt elusive, but possible, like a horizon she could chase as she kept moving forward. She wrote about the woman she was becoming, the one who was learning to love herself, to find joy in the small things, a cup of tea in the morning, the sound of rain on her window, the feel of a paintbrush in her hand, the weight of clay under her fingers. She wrote about the future, not the one she'd planned with Mark, but a new one, one she could shape with her own hands, her own heart, a future filled with possibility. Sophia's apartment slowly became a home, not the one she'd shared with Mark, but one that was hers, a space that reflected the woman she was becoming. She hung her paintings on the walls, their colors bright against the peeling paint, their imperfections a testament to her growth, each canvas a story of resilience. She bought a small rug from a thrift store, its patterns worn but warm, a reminder that beauty could be found in the used, the discarded, the overlooked. She played jazz records on a second-hand turntable, the music filling the space with memories of who she had been and who she was now, the notes weaving through the air like a thread connecting her past to her present, her mistakes to her redemption. She wasn't healed, not completely, but she was healing, learning to live with the consequences of her choices, to find meaning in the wreckage, to build something new from the ashes. One evening, as the sun dipped below the skyline, casting a golden glow over the city, Sophia sat at her table, a cup of tea in her hands, her notebook open in front of her. She wrote a letter to Mark, not one she'd sent, but one she needed to write, a quiet act of closure, a way to release the weight of her guilt. She thanked him for his love, his trust, his goodness, apologized for the pain she'd caused, for the life she'd broken with her choices. She wrote about the woman she was trying to be, the one who was learning to love herself, to find joy in her own company, to build a life that didn't depend on someone else's attention. She folded the letter and tucked it into a drawer, next to other unsent letters, other fragments of her heart, a quiet ritual that helped her let go, piece by piece, word by word. Sophia's journey wasn't over, and she knew it never would be. There were days when the weight of her choices felt too heavy, when the echo of Mark's words, "I trusted you," both cut as sharply as the day had said them, a blade that found the softest parts of her heart. There were nights when she wondered what might have been, if she'd chosen differently, if she'd valued what she had before it was gone, if she'd seen the beauty in Mark's steady love instead of chasing a fleeting thrill. But there were also moments of lightness, of hope, when she felt the stirrings of a new life, one she was building with her own hands. She started a blog, a quiet space where she shared her poems, her paintings, her thoughts on love and loss, her words reaching strangers who found solace in her honesty, who left comments saying her stories made them feel less alone, less broken. She took walks in the park, her sketchbook in hand, capturing the world in quick, fluid lines, finding beauty in the ordinary: a child's laughter, a dog chasing its tail, the way the light caught the leaves in the late afternoon sun, turning them to gold. She began to dream again, not of the Amalfi Coast or the life she'd lost, but of new horizons: a small art studio where she could teach, where kids and adults alike could find joy in creation, a trip to Paris to see the paintings she'd studied in college, to walk the streets Van Gogh and Monet had walked to life, where she could be herself, fully and unapologetically, without needing someone else's approval. She wasn't there yet, but she was moving forward, one step at a time, learning to trust herself the way Mark had once trusted her. She was learning to be enough, not because someone else told her so, but because she was starting to believe it, deep in her bones, in the quiet spaces of her heart. Sophia's story wasn't one of redemption, not in the neat, tidy way of fairy tales. It was messier, more human, a story of loss and learning, of breaking and rebuilding, of falling and rising again. She'd lost Mark, lost Emily, lost the life she'd known, but she was finding something else: herself, her voice, her heart. She was Sophia, and she was enough, not because her life was perfect, but because she was finally learning to live it, flaws and all, with courage and honesty. Thank you for listening my story. If you want more raw, real, and gripping stories like this, subscribe to the End Stories channel. Your support keeps these stories alive.